Hey, good morning, Coca Locus, and I'm here to tell you the story about Sweet Tooth. I'm not sure if you have watched it already on Netflix, or I'm not sure if you have heard about this series already. At first, I thought it was a full movie, so I tried to look for it in Netflix. Unfortunately, I was shocked or I was surprised when it kinda ended like less than an hour. I guess the episode 1 was or run only for 45 minutes as far as I could remember. And but since I found it very interesting, I continued watching and I finished 8 episodes of them in season 1. Unfortunately, there isn't any season 2 yet. And I searched on Facebook thinking that I could get some update or some news about season 2 of Sweet Tooth. And I've read about something that it'll supposed to be shown on Netflix on June the 4th of this year. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, so a lot of viewers were very disappointed and they were expecting it to be shown on Netflix on the 4th of June. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and according to what I have read, it'll be available in mid 2022. So that could be a year from now, because today's July of 2021. And if it'll be shown in mid 2022, most likely it'll be the same month of when it was released. I guess it was May or June. So most likely it'll be released in June of 2022. And I found it very, sad because probably I would no longer be able to remember of what had happened in season 1. So I'm making a summary of what I have seen in season 1. So by the time that we see season 2, we'll remember of what we have seen in season 1, especially to those who have seen the series or season 1 already. So season 1 had 8 episodes. The first episode was Out of the Deep Woods. I'm not gonna spoil everything here. If you don't want to continue looking or watching this video of mine, you can, of course, stop it. But if you want to continue watching, just for us to get the summary of what we have seen or what we have watched, or to those who haven't watched it yet, a summary of what you'll be able to watch during season 1, here are the list. The first one was Out of the Deep Woods. I'm not gonna tell what exactly had happened during this episode, but it's just a summary of what took place at that time. So the first one says Out of the Deep Woods. It was when the story of Gus, a special child, as they call in the series, this is the moment everything had started. This is when a man whom Gus called Paba brought him to the woods where they could stay safely, and that is the place where Gus grew up to become a very talented young man. And it's finding some place to live peacefully and safely, and they thought that that could be in the woods where they could find this exact place that they were looking for. So it all started in there, wherein Paba would not want Gus to go out from the fence because it's not safe outside. But Gauze at that time had no idea of what is going on outside the fence. So he had this curiosity that he have not found the answers of, not until he grew up, he grew bigger. The second one says, sorry about all the dead people. That is when Dr. Singh was shown in this series, and it's about those people who they need to sacrifice their lives because of the spread of the virus. That's what they thought. And I guess they wanted to say sorry because by the time that they see some symptoms to those people, they burn it in thinking that they would not want to spread the disease or the virus or whatsoever that is. Okay? The third one says, weird deer. Shh. Okay? That is when the time, to cut the long story short, something happened to Gus Pabas. Okay? And regardless of what he had promised to his Paba not to go out from the fence, he actually did. And he met a man, a big man, whom became his friend eventually at the end of the series, but not at first. He had some doubt on him at first, but eventually, as the story goes by, they go along with fine with each other. Number 4 is the secret sauce. And of course, their journey or their adventure started already. They have encountered a lot of different people. And a girl, I'm not sure what her age, I may have forgotten about it, but she is much older than Gauze. They became friends, but the relationship between that girl, whom she calls herself Bear, her relationship with Big Man is kind of not that good because they have like hatred to, or that girl has this kind of hatred that she developed when she was still young, and eventually it passed along to this Big Man. That's what they call him because of the history that he had or he wear. He was one of those people who get rid of hybrid children and kill those people with virus, all that kind of stuff. The fifth one says, what's in the freezer? So this is the series that goes back to the story of Dr. Singh. Okay? Unfortunately, at that time, his wife was showing some symptoms, which he is denying that it's really symptoms that his wife is having. Unfortunately, their neighbors, would not want to believe him. Okay? Especially this Nancy, her very meticulous neighborhood, came into their house to investigate. Unfortunately, something happened to Nancy, and so they were judged, and the rest of the neighborhood wanted to do the same thing that was done on the second series that says sorry about all the dead people. So they were about to burn the couple, and fortunately the general, the leader of this of a team who wanted to get rid of hybrids, came into the place and saved them. But it's not really saving them because the intention of the general was to have Dr. Singh produce a kind of remedy or a medicine, a cure for the virus. So they turned the fire down and locked them up. And so, to proceed with the next one, the stranger, or the sixth one says, stranger danger on a train. This is when the time when Gus, his friend, Big Man, and that bear girl, that girl which names herself Bear, uh, went to a trip to Colorado because that is where God's mother's is, he thought. So they were on a train, and it was very action thrilled event. It was pretty challenging when on how they could, or on how they came into, on how they went into the train. It was so challenging. Fortunately, there was this man. As far as I can remember, I think he named himself the fat man, who helped them. So to cut the story short, they were able to reach Colorado by the help of this man. And the seventh episode in season one says, when Papa met Birdie. This is the time when Gus Pabas met Birdie, whom he thought his mom is. Back then, 10 years ago, Birdie was a scientist, or it could still be an ongoing scientist, and Papa was a utility person who cleans the site where Birdie works. That is where they met, and until it was described, or that was the time when the story was telling us on how Gus was he created or was he born? That is also something that you need to watch out. And the eighth one is the last episode of season one. This is the most not exciting, but I had so much emotion on this episode because it was this time that Gus was unfortunately caught and was mixed with other hybrids. And this is also the part of the series wherein he met a lot of hybrids, and one of them is, or turned to be, the sister of that girl who calls herself Bear. So I really can't wait on when season 2 will arrive. If it'll happen next year, who knows? In mid 2022. I also heard rumors, some comments that says it'll be announced later on that it'll not gonna proceed, and that's gonna be a very sad event. If we could put this series into a movie, that would be great. So for those of you guys who wanted to watch the movie, just go to Netflix and watch it from the very beginning until the end, the end of that series, because it's very important to know of who Gus is, how he lives, how he was created, or was he born. I'm not gonna tell you every detail on this video. I want you to see it for yourself, watch it for yourself, because it's a very interesting story, especially nowadays wherein we are experiencing this pandemic, this virus, and we could somehow relate. What if something like this will happen in the future? And the only response of nature is to either produce another type of genetics or something that could, help Mother Nature, or to eradicate men. So it's a battle between men and nature. And of course, I want nature to win over this battle there. So thanks, Kokolocus, and I want you to watch this series. Very important. And we could all relate on this kind of a series, kind of a story. Thank you for watching, and you have a good day.